The kettlebell swing is a powerful tool for mastering explosiveness in your posterior chain. Relearn the fundamentals of the kettlebell swing and unlearn bad habits with these 4 steps. Step 1. Understand the movement. The kettlebell swing is a hip hinge. So start by practicing hinging your butt back, keeping your toes on the ground, back straight, and eyes up. Practice taking yourself through the full sequence of the kettlebell swing, hiking your hands all the way to your hips, driving your hips forward to power the movement. Your hands should simply float up as though the momentum of your hips is carrying them up, and your hips should drive backward to absorb the force. Practice the fundamental movement of the swing and strengthen your posterior chain with a kettlebell RDL. Practice loading your back and hips, keeping your eyes up and feet planted while you drive your hips backward and forward. Begin practicing the basic skills you'll need by breathing in on the way down and breathing out on the way up, squeezing your glutes and bracing your core at the top of the movement. If your mobility does not allow you to go all the way to the floor with your back straight, simply elevate the kettlebell. Once you've mastered the hip hinge, you're ready to practice the setup. To set up for the swing, you'll step a few feet away from the kettlebell, taking a shoulder width stance with your toes slightly turned out. Hinge your hips backward, keeping your toes on the ground, eyes up. Pull the kettlebell back toward you, engaging your lats. Practice hiking the kettlebell to your hips and allowing it to simply drift forward. Practice pulling your wrists backward all the way into your groin and simply allow the kettlebell to float forward into its position. You can also practice the pendulum swing, hiking your kettlebell to your hips and allowing it to drift forward and backward a couple times before you set it down. Once you practice the hinge and the setup, you're ready to practice the full kettlebell swing. Start by using the dead stop swing, practicing the setup and the explosiveness of the swing 1 rep at a time. Practice hiking the kettlebell all the way to your hips, keeping your feet down and body still. Focus on driving those hips forward explosively, squeezing your glutes and bracing your core at the top of the movement. Use as much power as you can. Then use small clusters of 3 to 5 reps to practice the feel of multiple kettlebell swings. Practice using your hips to power the movement, simply allowing your arms to travel with the momentum of the bell. Practice your breathing out explosively on the way up out of every movement. Practice squeezing your glutes and bracing your core. Once you do the kettlebell swing for reps in your training, you want to be able to recognize and fix any mistakes you make. One of the most common mistakes is trying to lift the kettlebell with your arms. This is usually caused by the perception that you have to lift the kettlebell and using one that is too light. Instead, use a heavier kettlebell that forces you to use just your hips. Focus on letting your arms float at the top and even keep the kettlebell from rising above your chest. Another common mistake is leaning back against the kettlebell when you get tired on a set of swings. Practice with a partner, having him hold an object behind your shoulders to know when you're leaning back into the weight. One dangerous mistake is allowing the kettlebell to fall away from your hips, pulling you down toward the floor and loading your lower back excessively. Place a cone or a yoga block underneath your hips. Hike the weight clear above the cone and keep the bell tucked tight against your hips as you hinge back. If you allow the kettlebell to drop away from your hips, you'll know it. Remember to always approach learning as a beginner and mastering the fundamentals. Comment if these tips help you perfect and relearn your swing. And hit that subscribe button for more videos like these.